good morning. This is Torrance Davis, and you're watching Good Morning Gamer for Friday, June 12th, 2020. I know it's been a long time. Got a few things we need to talk about as the PlayStation 5 was finally revealed yesterday, and they showed some games. But before we get started, I have a special announcement. I am about to pick the winner of the next generation console. So now that we've seen what the Xbox looks like, we've seen what the PlayStation 5 looks like, we know what the Switch looks like. I did a contest that if you bought my book between, I can't even remember the dates. I think it was March 1st, and originally it was March 1st to April 20th, and I pushed it back to May 30th because of COVID and people in Europe buying the book and needing time to get the book so they could write the review. But now's the time. So I'm going to spin the random wheel on this video, and you will see who wins the next generation console. So the winner of this I'll send you a notice on Twitter, or I will comment to you on your review for my book. And then you give me your address, and then when they start pre-orders, I'll pre-order your system and have it sent to you. Don't pick no special editions and nothing crazy like that either. So anyway, here we go. There's all the names. So I'm going to click the button, and we're going to watch it spin, and it's going to hit a name. Jay Kolzak, you are the winner of a next generation console of your choice, either an Xbox Series X, a PlayStation 5, or a Nintendo Switch. Get at me, bro, and thank you for buying my book and supporting the cause. I will contact you on Twitter, and I'll need your address and all your information so I can send you the system. Thanks everybody who supported the book and bought the book during this period of apocalypse and posted your kind, positive, unbiased reviews on Amazon. Thank you so much. Now let's get on with the show. So, Sony PlayStation, a while back, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, they did the Ghost of Tsushima video, and which was pretty cool. People wanted my opinion on that. I thought it was pretty freaking dope. When the fighting first started, I was like, whoa, this is what I was looking for. But as it progressed and I saw what they were actually doing with the game, I was like, okay, yes, this is what I want. They had a lot of cool things, a lot of cool graphics, a lot of cool walking simulator stuff. They had a black and white mode for samurai film fans, but honestly, I didn't really. When I saw the black and white mode, it didn't feel like an old Akira Kurosawa film. There's just certain things you need for it to have that look. I think it's cool that they added it, but the game looks brutal and fucking awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on it. So that was cool. It's cool. It's badass. It's Sucker Punch. What do you expect? Yesterday, the PlayStation 5 was finally revealed. They showed a lineup of some of their first-party, third-party, and independent games that will be available for the PlayStation 5. And just like I said it would happen, at the end of the conference, they actually showed what the PlayStation looked like, which was pretty fucking cool. I'll start by saying the first Megaton I saw was the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. There's been a ton of confusion over this game, and whether it's DLC, is it an expansion? Will it come out for PlayStation 4? Everybody's freaking confused because people sure as hell don't want to have to buy a PlayStation 5 just for an expansion or DLC. But apparently, it's going to be a standalone game like Uncharted Chloe, where you don't need the original game. You could just buy the Miles Morales part and play that. And I think it is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5. I know it looks like I got something white on my nose, but it's hot and my face is just shiny. Okay? It's just shiny right now. And I got my light on and it's daytime. So it looks like I got like white lotion or a dot on my nose, but it's just shiny. Black people stuff. Okay, anyway. So yeah, that was cool. So that was the first Megaton. They showed a bunch of cool stuff. Cool racing game. They brought Gran Turismo was back with GT7. That looked pretty cool. At first it reminded me of Forza Horizon because they showed a UI that kind of reminded me of Forza Horizon, which I think is pretty cool. And they also stated they're going to have a full campaign mode in this game. They showed a couple of really cool games from some developers. Kenna looked pretty freaking awesome. There's a new game called, I think it's Project Aletha from Square, which looked freaking awesome. It looked really cool. I mean, how many times are we going to see a girl with a cape jumping from rock to rock? I think we've seen that a couple of times in recent days, but damn, it looked like a really cool game. So they showed some cool games. It was like most Sony press conferences where they start off with a bang, and then there's a bunch of what the fucks and snoozers in the middle, and then they end with a bang. Like the Bug Snacks game. What the hell? Bug Snacks. I'm like, what is this? And that trailer just went on and on. I'm like, what the hell is this? They showed a little new Resident Evil title. I have no interest in Resident Evil. Tokyo, I forget the name of it. Tokyo. Let me look here. On my screen. Tokyo. Ghostwire. Tokyo Ghostwire. Tokyo Ghostwire surprisingly looks pretty friggin' dope. I think they should take whatever they're doing with that game, make another game that's just a kung fu game where you just see your hands and you're doing all the cool stuff and you're blocking and punching with your hands. I think that would be cool. But Tokyo Ghostwire looked pretty cool. They showed some cool stuff. It was a typical Sony PlayStation event. They had some really good stuff and some whatever, I'll pass on that stuff. Typical. But the thing is, they had something there for everybody. They had something there for your hardcore gamers, your sports fans. They showed a teaser for 2K1. They had a racing game. They had games for kids. They had your AAA first-person walking simulator games. They showed a trailer for the next Horizon game, which looks absolutely awesome. Made me want to jump back into that game and finish that. Just a lot of cool stuff. And at the end, they finally showed the PlayStation 5 console. And it looked pretty cool. And like I'm sure everybody thought this after they saw the controller, that the console was going to be white and black with blue highlights, with blue lights. So it looked really cool. It was a thin box, and it was stood straight up. And it had venting in the front. So it looks really cool. But it just doesn't look practical to me. I'm sitting here trying to think how they are going to cool this thing in such a tight-fitting box. I mean, one of the reasons why the Xbox Series X is so big is for cooling. I have a giant PC next to me, and I have a Titan X in here, and that fan goes like crazy. So I'm like, how are they going to keep this PlayStation 5 cool and quiet? It won't be quiet. Just like the Xbox One X probably won't be quiet. It'll probably be more quiet than the PlayStation 5 just because of the way the system dissipates heat. But because the console, the PlayStation console, is so narrow, I'm like, man, this is like one of the most powerful consoles they've ever made. And they still crammed it into that PlayStation 3 size box. I'm like, how are they going to keep that sucker cool? So it'll be interesting to see how the cooling is on that and how loud the fans are. But the venting in the front was really cool. So it shows that they probably have a fan standing up straight in the middle that's taking all of the heat and blowing it out those front vents, which is pretty cool. And it looks badass, but I just don't think it's as practical as the Xbox One X, whereas the Xbox One X looks plain. It doesn't look as cool as the PlayStation 5, but I think it's more practical. But we'll see. They did show the PlayStation 5 on its side, so I guess as long as you have it in the stand, you can still sit it on the side. But the big megaton bomb for me was the fact that they showed a second PlayStation 5, which is an all-digital version. Like, nobody knew about this. Sony never talked about it. They just said, boom, here's a PlayStation 5. Everybody's like, oh, shit, this PlayStation 5. This thing, boom, here's another one. This one's all digital with no disc drive. I'm like, holy shit. Just like Xbox is doing. I swear to God, these dudes go out to lunch and say, well, what are you guys doing? And you make, we're thinking about doing a second console that's all digital. Oh, that's a good idea. We'll do that too. Like, how do these things happen? Apparently, I guess the digital version of the Xbox One S must have sold pretty well. So it's a thing now because people are more willing to buy digital than they have ever before in the history of gaming since digital started. More people are willing to buy their games digitally, which is really cool. So that makes it even more interesting, this incoming price war. And I wouldn't really call it a price war, but waiting for Microsoft and Sony to reveal their prices, because they didn't reveal their price yesterday. I thought they would. They are still waiting to see what Microsoft is going to price their console at, probably because they want to undercut them. Microsoft probably wants to undercut Sony because, you know, to the mass consumers out there, when they're looking at both consoles, if one's cheaper, that's typically the one they pick. So pricing is huge. So I'm willing to bet that, one, the Sony console is probably going to be $599. PlayStation 5 is going to be $599, and the digital only will probably be $499. But how much are you really saving by not having a Blu-ray drive in there? Unless they're cutting corners in other areas, like maybe it's a smaller hard drive. But I would think that if it's digital only, you'd want a bigger hard drive. I don't know. But let's assume everything's the same except for the Blu-ray drive. So how much is a 4K Blu-ray drive? Let's say they're going to save $50 by taking that Blu-ray drive out of the system. So if the main PS5 is $490 or $599, then the PS5 digital version would be $549. I'm thinking the Xbox X, just because they want to undercut Sony. If Sony reveals their price first, I'm thinking the Xbox X will be $599 and include a game, or $549. And the digital-only Xbox system would be $459. I don't know. I'm throwing some numbers out there because I know Microsoft's doing everything right, but they're still going up against the juggernaut, which is Sony. Sony has more market share, more mind share, okay? In order to compete with a giant like Sony, you have to do these things. They got the games. They got people talking about the Series X, but they've got to beat them in price. So this whole price game they're playing is very interesting to me. People need to be ready to spend $600 on these consoles because that's how badass they are. And that's just the way it goes. These are badass fucking consoles. Sony has a proprietary SSD that is definitely bumping up the price in their system. I'm willing to even go out on a limb and say that because of the SSD in the Sony PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X could be $75 to $100 less than the PlayStation 5 because they're using off-the-shelf parts. That SSD is definitely going to increase the price of the PlayStation by large amounts. But then again, Xbox has more, their system has more powerful processors. So, you know, it's a balance here. So I'm just throwing numbers out there. It really doesn't matter what I say because I'm just as eager as everybody else to see what these systems are going to be priced because I think that's one of the interesting parts of the next generation. And as excited as I am about all this stuff, everything we've seen so far, we still have yet to see the Xbox first-party titles. I still can't justify getting a next-gen console. I'm having debates with myself. Like, do I want to get a PS5 for myself? Like, what for? What the fuck do I want to play? I don't want to play any of that shit. And even though they showed Demon Souls remake, and a lot of people are excited about Demon Souls, I'm like, they're remaking a game that came out in Gen 7 that most people have beaten. I don't understand why everybody's so excited about it. And everybody's like, oh, that game's dope. I'd love to play it again, blah, blah, blah. I don't get the excitement over Demon Souls. I hate the fucking game. And then I saw the screenshots. I saw the screenshots for this Demon Souls remake. And I'm like, is it coming out for PC? Because once I saw the screenshots and it looked like a completely different fucking game and it actually looked scary, I'm like, should I give this game another go around? You know, is the control going to be better in this new version? They said there's an option for a better frame rate. You have an option. You can choose either better fidelity and graphics or better frame rate, which tells me it's probably 4K 60 if you pick the frame rate option and 4K 30 if you pick the fidelity option. So even though I was talking all that shit about Demon's Souls, and I really don't like the game. Honestly, I don't like Demon's Souls. I never liked it. I'd be interested in checking out this remaster, remake, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But whatever, it's only going to be in PlayStation 5 from what I'm hearing, so whatever. I'll just go back to my library of games I haven't beaten, like Bloodborne, you know, and play those. But anyway, so that whole event was pretty cool. It wasn't a mind-blowing event, but like I said, there were a couple megatons. Everybody knows what the PlayStation 5 looks like now. We could all rest easy, but there's still more. There's still more we're waiting for. We want to see some real gameplay. There was only maybe one game in that trailer that showed me next gen, and that was the new Ratchet and Clank game. The new I'm not a big fan of Ratchet and Clank. I had the PS3 version, and I got bored. And it has nothing to do with Ratchet and Clank. I just don't like 3D action platformer games where you run around and you grab little things. And I was actually playing it at my cousin's house. I was playing the Ratchet and Clank game. I fell asleep while I was playing the game, if that tells you anything. But anyway, still looked cool, still had dope graphics. This new Ratchet and Clank game reminds me of that game that came out on the PS3, except like 10 times better. And watching those levels load so fast and switching to all those different worlds was fucking amazing. Insomniac was putting that SSD to work. So that, to me, was like one of the few signs of what they showed that looked next gen. So even though we saw some clips of first-party games and we actually saw some gameplay, the Insomniac footage was like the only next-gen game or gameplay that I saw. I mean, other stuff looked absolutely gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but next gen isn't really about games looking gorgeous. It's more than that. And a lot of what I saw on those screens, that's shit that, I mean, you could have easily told me those are PS4 games, and I would have believed you, except for the Ratchet and Clank footage. But they all look like, some of them looked really interesting, but I just didn't get that next gen feeling. So I want to see more of what's coming out in the days. I really want to see. I shouldn't be surprised because I told everybody on one of the last war zones that you're not going to see a huge generational jump from last gen to this next gen. You're just not. It's not going to be like back in 2005 when you first got your Xbox 360 or when you got your PlayStation 3. You're not going to see a visual jump like that. You know, it's not going to be like in 2013 when you switched to the PS4 and the Xbox One. You are not going to see a huge, giant difference, at least not in the outset. Give it 2 or 3 years, then you're going to start seeing some mind-blowing shit. But for devs to transition into this new generation and come out with something that's like, oh my God, I want to rip all the hair out of my head and jump off a building, you're not going to see that right away. It's going to take some time. You will see remakes. You'll see it. You're definitely going to see remakes just like last gen. It's going to take some time before developers get used to this new hardware and they're able to fully take advantage of it and give us some mind-blowing shit. And it's not always about the game looking pretty. It's about gameplay. It's about AI. It's about how they use memory for things. Like, you kill 100 dudes, 8 hours into the game, you come back, those 100 bodies should still be there. Little touches like that. You get shot, you got a bullet hole in your skin and blood on your shirt. That blood on your shirt should stay with you until you finish the game or until you change that shirt. Little touches like that. With these new systems, you can do that shit. With the memory and the way things work, you can do that shit. So it's going to be interesting. It's exciting. Obviously, you guys know I'm more a PC gamer, so I'm really interested on the stuff that's also coming out for PC. But, that's just how it is. So great event by Sony. Microsoft has 2 events coming up. They have the Halo Infinite event, which I don't know when that is. It's supposed to be this month. And then we get the big Xbox reveal event next month in July. So that should be interesting. Jay Kolzak, I'll be contacting you in a few minutes. Congratulations on winning the next generation system of your choice. Everybody be safe and happy. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.